this is Jessie Silverman from Big Blue Canopy, one of the speech language pathologists here. And I wanted to go over some different activities and strategies to help improve auditory comprehension skills when you are reading books with your child. So participating in like some joint storybook reading. So first, to go over briefly, just to stress the importance of having solid language abilities and foundational skills will strongly influence reading comprehension outcomes. So good reading comprehension is heavily reliant on the following areas of language. Phonology, so like the different sounds, different speech sounds and letter sounds. Morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics are all areas that are within an SLP's expertise and will help improve comprehension skills once those strong language foundations are established. If there is a language delay or disorder, which we see in a lot of our kiddos, reading comprehension will be impacted by it. So they might struggle a little bit retelling stories or answering questions that you're prompting when you are reading together. Also, memory and attention can significantly impact comprehension skills as well. So if your child is not able to pay attention to a story or they have trouble recalling or remembering the details, that will have a significant impact on their comprehension skills as well. And so I'm just going to share a few reading activities that can help improve attention and focus while engaged in joint reading activities. So dialogic reading activities, those refer to it's a process of having dialogue with your children regarding the text that they are reading. So you're kind of talking as you're reading with your child. This includes asking questions, discussing characters, defining new words and vocabulary. So as you're coming across new words, they rode the shuttle home. Did you know the shuttle is a means of transportation when a bus takes you somewhere, takes you to and from a place. And it also refers to making predictions or inferences based upon events and analyzing components of a story. So those inferential questions and predictions, like before you turn the page, like what do you think is going to happen next? That really holds the child accountable to recall, oh, well, this has already happened, so this is why this is going to happen next. So one technique in dialogic reading is the peer sequence. So a lot of these are acronyms that I'll go through each point for what each letter stands for. So the peer sequence is a technique where a short interaction between the adult and child are reading. And the first one, the P, stands for prompting the child to say something about the book. So, for example, if we were reading Pete the Cat, which I love this book, Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes, the parent could simply just ask, what is this? And then you listen for the kid's response, like, oh, that's Pete the Cat, or that's a cat. And then the E in the peer sequence refers to evaluating the child's response. Like, you are right, that is a cat. He has shoes on his feet. And then you would expand then the second E stands for expanding the child's response by rephrasing it and adding information. The cat is wearing white tennis shoes. Tennis shoes are shoes that we wear outside when we're doing different activities. And then the R stands for repeating the prompt and making sure the child has learned from the expansion. So like, can you say tennis shoes for me? So that would be the peer sequence, which is a short interaction between the parent and child. So the P stands for prompting, first E for evaluating the response, second E is expanding that response, and then the R is for repeating it to ensure that the child understood and remembered that new vocabulary you just introduced. There are 5 types of prompts that are used with dialogic reading to initiate the peer sequences. So the acronym CROWD, CROWD, will help you remember these 5 prompts. So the first one being the completion prompts. So you have your child fill in the blanks. A lot of these books that have repetitive phrases are good for these completion prompts because it keeps their memory and attention, and they assume responsibility to complete the phrase. So, for instance, with this book, Pete the cat, I love my white shoes. Over and over, he sings on the pages, I love my brown shoes, I love my brown shoes. And a completion prompt, an example would be, I love my, and then just kind of pausing and letting them fill in, my brown shoes. So that would be an example of those completion prompts. And they're good, like I said, with those books that have rhyming schemes or repetitive phrases that they have been exposed to earlier in the text. And then the R stands for recall prompts. So these questions target events that happened in the book that the child has read. So for instance, with this one, so they're recalling either, you can do this at the beginning of the story if they are already familiar with the book. So like if you've already read this one, like, do you remember this book? You do. What happens to his shoes? Where they have to recall what they remember from the story last time they read it. Or you can use these recall prompts at the end of the story once you finish, like, that was a good story. Can you tell me again what happened? What happened to Pete and what happened to his shoes? So that's an example of those recall prompts. The O in the CROWD acronym stands for open-ended prompts. So these prompts focus on the illustrations and pictures in the books, and you can prompt just simply like, tell me what's happening in this picture. So like, for instance, one of these pictures with the action, like, oh my goodness, tell me what is happening in this picture. And then this helps build those expressive language skills where the child is responsible for telling you, oh, the cat is in the bath. And then the W in the acronym stands for the WH prompts. So these involve asking a variety of WH questions like what, where, when, why, and then how questions. So asking these questions will increase the child's vocabulary and improve expressive language skills, just like the open-ended prompts as well. And then the D standing for distancing prompts. So these prompts ask the child to relate outside experiences to the story they are reading. So, for example, with this book, so if you're not familiar with this book, Pete the cat steps in all different things like strawberries and blueberries, like this, and then his shoes turn red when he does that. This book is also really good for those inferences, like, oh my goodness, he stepped in strawberries, what's going to happen to his shoes? They turned red. But an example of a distancing prompt could be, Pete the cat, he got his shoes pretty messy in that story. Do you remember the time when we were at Grandma's house and there was that huge mud puddle in the backyard and you got your shoes dirty? Tell me about that. So that'll help them relate to the story and then build on those expressive language skills as well. And then another method is the CAR method. So CAR is the acronym with that one. It uses a teaching approach of following the child's lead when reading books aloud. So the acronym stands for the following. So the C standing for comment and wait. So for example, just saying like, look, there's a cat. And just kind of wait and see if they give you anything. And then the A standing for ask a question and wait. What do you think he's going to do? And then wait, see if they give you anything. If they say he's going to walk, he has shoes on his feet, or he's going to put on pants since he wears clothes. The R you follow up with, the R stands for responding by adding more. Like, yes, he is wearing white shoes. I think he's going to go for a walk, and I think he's going to jump in a bunch of different things and get his shoes dirty. Should we find out? So that would be an example of the CAR method, which is a short exchange between the adult and child or children when you're reading. So I hope some of these techniques and strategies are helpful when you're reading at home with your children. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@bigbluecanopy.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.